This is the reason why I'm buying out-of-state rentals at 20 years old. Let's get straight into it. So, first reason is price, right? If you look at these properties, right, this is the average home price, or even if you have to go above this, sometimes you go below, but most of the time it's between this median range, right? Especially in California, that's where I live. If you go right here, this is Ohio, right? This is where we purchased a house. It came out to $100,000 flat. We put 20% down on the DSCR loan. So the reason why I say this is because of the barrier to entry. As a 20-year-old, it's going to be very hard to go and purchase a $500,000 house, right? Not only because if you don't, not necessarily about the money and getting the money, it's because of documentation and also sourcing the funds. So say I went and I had a really good month in my business, I made $50,000, right? That's plenty of money to get into this house. However, they need to source the funds. They're going to say, okay, let me look at your bank statements of 24 months, right? The reason why I want to do this is because they want to prove that you're a legit person. So with this house, right, they offer something similar, but they're only going to check up to 3 months, which is a lot easier to come up with and a lot easier to be in a position where you could go and have the paperwork to buy it because they have to prove that you're reliable. So if you look at $100,000 house, right, 20% down is $20,000, right? If we look at $500,000 house, this would be 20,000 times 5. You're looking at $100,000 to buy this house. If you want to go DSCR, which is what you could buy if you're an investor and you don't have something like W-2s, you don't have something like 1099, you're kind of just someone that makes money in a non-traditional way. So price. Would you rather pay $100,000 to get a house? $50,000 to get a house? Or $500,000 to get a house? Alongside that, you have to think about how much rent are you going to have to cover if you have a vacancy, right? How much of the mortgage you got to cover if you have a vacancy? So someone is there, or someone is not living in the house, or someone's not paying the rent, right? $3,000 a month is typical for these type of houses, right? It'd probably be a little bit less for this, or if you go buy the more expensive house, it could be more. $700 a month. Our mortgage is like $647, right? If this tenant right here, this is your tenant, did not want to pay and they would not leave, right? California has these squatter rules, and I don't know who the hell came up with them, but someone cannot get evicted within 5 to 30 days, same way someone in Ohio can. You're looking at 90, sometimes you get 60, 90 to almost a year, right? So 90 days to almost 365 days. So alongside that, if you compare that to Ohio, it's 5 to 30 days. Would you rather front a $3,000 a month mortgage payment for 90 days to up to a year in a house that you're not living in, that someone else is squatting in, or $700 a month for maybe 1 month, right? So that's another thing. So let's recap. Price, $100,000 you're going to need to get into this house as an investor, right? Maybe you go a little bit less with 15% down. This one, $20,000. I bought it with my guy Alex, so that means we came out 10, and then obviously closing costs. So it came out to like $13,000 each, right? 100,000, 500,000. Alongside that, they need more history. So 12 to 24 months of bank statements. This one, 3 months, right? So if you had a good month, you can wait for 3 months and you can buy a house. Alongside that, moreover, let's check this out. $3,000 a month that you would have to front for 3 months. So that's $9,000 that you're out of without making a single profit that's going to cut into your bottom line simply because you have a tenant that you cannot kick out because of the government, right? Would you want to be in that position? And there's nothing wrong with this property, right, at all. It's just the rules that are in place. Alongside that, in somewhere in Ohio, right, investment place B, you could have your rent be increased year over year. This one, you can, believe you can only increase it like 5% each year. This one, then you can go to like 10% or even more. So, if you want to make more money, you could obviously go and increase this. So, let me take a sip real quick. Right? Normally, people's payments are like $3,000. So, say $3,000 a month payment, what they're going to charge the tenant is probably like $3,500 a month, right? They're probably be profiting $500 a month, not understanding that there's so many expenses that are going to come with this damn house, right? There's just expenses with houses all the time. $700 a month, right? We bought a $100,000 duplex, right? Duplex, so it's basically 2 units. So instead of if we had kept it as a single family house, it would have been $2,500 a month, right? $2,500 a month. Reason being is because we're doing Section 8. Section 8 bed voucher for 7 bed, $2,500 a month. But guess what? We're not doing this. See this? Said, fuck that. We're not doing that. What we're going to do is convert it into 2 separate ones, right? I believe that exactly it's 1782 for a 4-bedroom voucher because it's 7.2, so we're gonna convert it to a 3.1 and a 4.1. So 1782, and then alongside that, I believe the other one is just like 17 or like 1684, something like that, right? You compare these two, it comes up to like roughly around 3,500. Whatever comes out to 3,552 is exactly what we're gonna get while still having 352 a month, while still having a $700 mortgage payment. So $3,552, $700 mortgage payment. They would be making $500 a month net, right? Net. This would be, so say 3,500 minus 700, looking around, this is 2,800 a month net, not considering the fact that we haven't even taken into the consideration, the fact that we still have other expenses, obviously, but the biggest one out of them all, the mortgage, is out of the play. So that's the second one that we recap, is you make a higher cash-on-cash return, right? So $3,500 a month, $700 mortgage payment, net $2,800 a month. Obviously, it's still more expensive, so the net will probably come out to like $2,400 or something like that. Split between me and Alex, probably come out to, I don't know, maybe $900 a month in our pocket profit, guaranteed from Section 8. This one, I said $500 a month, not considering the fact if you want to go and maintain the property yourself, we're doing a property manager, so $3,500 a month. The 10% rule will probably be $350. So higher cash-on-cash return, right? If we put $20,000 at, and then we're making 35.52, and then this one, say 100, and then 3,000. To see our return, right? To see our return, 35.52 to get to this, right? It's probably going to take us roughly around like 6 months, right? 6 months to see like an ROI in regards to our down payment. But this one, how long do you think this shit's going to take? Genuinely, how long do you think it's going to take? It's not going to take 6 months. It's not going to take a year. It'll take a lot longer. So you have to think about your cash-on-cash return. Okay, so you're going to make more money fat. You're going to make more money. You're going to get in for a lot cheaper. And alongside that, if someone does not want to pay, you can boot them out. 5 to 30 days, 90 to 365 days. Because the bank does not care if you're in a position where you do not have a tenant. They genuinely do not care. They just care about getting their mortgage paid on time. And why should they care? As a landlord, you took on the risk of taking on a $700 a month payment for a $100,000 house or a $3,000 a month payment for a $500,000 house. Those are the main reasons why I personally am buying out of state before I buy in state, because I live in California. This house that we bought was in Ohio. I want to have enough cash flow so I could go and live for free in California. Obviously, free, I mean in regards to having the rentals pay this mortgage so I could live in my own house over here in California. But in order for me to replicate what I'm trying to do here, it would have took so much more money, a lot more time, and a lot more energy, because I have to put in more work in order to get a similar effect of a higher cash-on-cash return. Because here, like I said, you're not going to be able to profit that much because you can't increase the rent. And this state of California is more in favor of the tenant as opposed to the landlord, right? So you have to make sure that you are taking that in, doing your due diligence. There's a lot of stuff that you could do in regards to California and that are beneficial, but you have to look at what your goals are, and this is what made the most sense for me. So those are the main reasons: is price, cash-on-cash return, barrier to entry, landlord-friendly state, and also the loan types. Like I said, this one, 20% down, it's only $20,000. You could do a seller financing deal on this, probably getting like $3,000. You have to need a lot more money. This one, 3 months of bank statements. If you want to do a DSCR loan, which is pretty much a loan where it doesn't use your credit report. And that's another reason why I want to be on this. If I have a house that's on my credit report, I can still buy over here with the FHA loan, because it's my first time buying a house legally, right? Or not legally, but first time buying a house on paper when it comes to my credit report and my debt to income, right? They're going to see, hey, this dude doesn't even own a house, because it doesn't show on the credit report. The credit report will show your overall debt. And if you have no debt on there, they say, oh, this dude doesn't have a house. So that is the reason why we're first buying out of state. DSCR doesn't show on my credit report, then still use FHA. So I could get money to go and pay the mortgage payment when I want to buy a house, and then also have enough liquid cash, just obviously collecting over time with profit, and still use a 3.5% down payment on a house like this. So those are the main reasons. Understand that it ultimately comes down to your personal choice, and you also have to look at the negatives. Some of the negatives for this is that some of the negatives for Ohio, obviously, is the fact that I'm in California, so I can't physically go and touch the house whenever the hell I want. But the benefit of that is when you have the right connections, you can have a property manager that takes care of absolutely everything, right? Alongside that, something that's not beneficial to this, that people don't really talk about, and it's something that kind of gets pushed to the side because they kind of just want to sell you some bullshit, is that this house will not appreciate the same way that this one will, because people want to live in California. People don't really want to live in Ohio, right? But when you have this in place, it will allow you to have the cash to not only cover the expenses of this one, but also buy this one, get your foot in the door by having some equity in place to do a refinance to go and buy this house. However, you have to understand that this is not going to appreciate and grow in value the same way this one is. That's a big negative. That's something that I take into consideration. So this house right here, $500,000 over 20 years, it'll probably grow to, depending on the location, it'll probably grow to like 800,000, maybe 800,000, 750,000 over 20 years, right? This house right here will probably max, if you're pushing it, probably go to 175,000 max, maybe 160 over 20 years max. So I took that consideration. Depends on what your goals is. My goals are on cash flow, and here is your goal on appreciation if you're trying to buy in California or if you're trying to actually live in the damn place. So those are the main reasons why I'm buying out of state rental first. If you look at all this information and you felt like it was helpful and you still want some more help on it, just go and leave me a comment down below and I'll literally just respond to it. Or you can message me on Instagram. I know I'll respond to pretty much everybody unless you just DM me some bullshit. But that is a reason. Cheaper price, higher cash on cash return, more tenant regulations on the tenant's behalf, so higher benefit to the landlord. But appreciation is not there. And also, Section 8, you get a guaranteed check every single month because of the government paying you. So say this mortgage is $700 a month, right? You as the landlord obviously have to cover that. However, say the FMR, there's something called the fair market rent in Ohio. So pretty much just means what is the fair amount of money that you could charge someone to live in your house as a tenant, right? But when someone has a Section 8 voucher, so say they have a 7-bed one, right? Because it's actually a 7-bed house that we bought. The FMR, which was a number that I showed you earlier, which is $2,500 a month, before we're actually converting it to 2 houses, so a duplex, right? That's the FMR. The thing about the FMR is that the government will pay that for the tenant because they're on a housing voucher. So in reality, the tenant might come out of pocket $500 a month, but the government's going to front the rest. And if you know, the government is always going to be printing money. They're going to have unlimited money, so they could go and give you your $2,500 a month if they go and quote you at 100%, fair market rent, whatever the hell it is. So ours is $2,500 a month. If we put it in a 7-bed, you'll probably get $2,300 a month if you don't go ahead and get the 100%. So you have a guaranteed check as opposed to this. If you have a house right here in Section 8 in California, it's a little bit harder to go and get that all done unless you're buying it somewhere like Salinas, for example. But guaranteed check, lower price, better cash on cash return. You'll get your ROI faster. You can kick the tenant out faster. This house is going to be hard to get into. You need more documentation to get into it. It's going to have a higher monthly mortgage payment, which means less profit. Alongside that, if you have to front this for 90 to 365 days, it's going to be a lot more cash coming out of your pocket because you're not even going to be living in this damn house, but the tenant's going to be taking your money the entire time. So you have to weigh out the pros and the cons. Like I said, the cons of this house is that this Ohio house that we bought is not going to appreciate and grow in value the same way that this house will, just because people don't want to live in Ohio the same way they want to live in California. But when you take out the pros and cons and you look at what makes the most sense for you, you will make this decision. Factor out what value you have to not only provide to yourself, but also the marketplace around you. If you have higher cash liquid, you could go and house a bunch of people, go and help out in regards to the Section 8 program, house these people, put them in a better position where obviously they have houses where they can live in, because there are not that many people that are going and willing to invest their time, energy, and money into these people to house these people. That's the reason why there's so many people with vouchers that are outstanding where they literally cannot find a place to live. So you have to weigh out the pros and the cons. Ultimately, it comes down to your personal decision. But like I said, I made mine, which is buying over here, stacking, getting the cash flow, getting the capital, and then buying a house here so I could go and pretty much live for free and understand that I'm actually living in this house and not taking on the risk of having a tenant that will not pay me. And I'd rather have a guaranteed check and also someone that is not squatting and living in my house for free, as opposed to here where I could kick them out in 5 to 30 days. But back on, so just so I get off that tangent, if you want any help with this, like I said, leave a comment below. You can DM me. I don't want to bullshit. I just want to get straight to the information if you obviously feel like it is helpful. Just because I wish someone would have told me all of this before I even thought about the idea of real estate investing, just so I could have more time to think about it and actually do my own due diligence alongside this information that's being provided in front of me. So I appreciate you watching this video. If you want me to keep dropping more like this, leave a comment down below. And yeah, let's get into the next one. I'm about to record another video right after this. Where's my lecture like that?